Would gold be a good investment play for the debt ceiling fight?
Yeah, that came in actually as a comment on one of our videos. I put out a video every day talking about what I saw happening in the market, and somebody asked that because we brought that up and kind of a debt ceiling issue. So I do have some charts for that too. So let me show you these, and we can kind of talk about this. So this is the 2017 downturn. The green line is VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index ETF, and I use that as an index for the whole market. It's got over 4,000 stocks in it, what have you. If you look at that first red arrow there, on the green line, I just picked that as sort of a peak point as the arguments really started, and I put a corresponding arrow on that gold line that represents GLD, which is the gold ETF, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the bottom of that, where the green arrow is pointing to the green line, that was when they finally funded, extended the debt ceiling. That was a 17% drop there from that, kind of high to low, roughly. But this was a really big time scenario where they went up to the last almost hour. I think it was August 10th of 2011. The federal government had already gone past the debt ceiling, or had hit the debt ceiling, was using what they call extraordinary measures, cash that they got laying around or whatever. But they were out of that. And those extraordinary measures were ending, and they had nearly a $900 million payment that they had to make into Social Security. So everybody would get their Social Security check. And then the Republicans blinked in that environment. Actually, they both did, to be honest, because there was some negotiated settlement there too. But nonetheless, they funded the government. But gold went up. See that? If you look at the red to the green arrow on the gold went up during that time frame. So it would have been a good bet to have that going into that. However, if we look at the last debt ceiling arguments, there's two of them here in 2011. And so here we have, the first green, again, is the stock market, and gold is the gold market, more or less. And market went down for the first one, 10%, gold went down. Yep. And then we had another argument in November of that 2021, because they didn't extend the first one very long, just a few months. And again, the gold went down at the same time. So you kind of wonder overall if the debt ceiling worry is starting to wear off. Again, it's the boy crying wolf over and over again, because what we're seeing is less and less drop in the S&P 500. And I think maybe that's sort of reflected in that less and less drop in increase in gold, because people are looking at that as, okay, this is a political theater. It is dangerous theater. They could default. It isn't something we should ignore. Yep. But so far, that's what it's been, right? And so the market's been kind of responding. So, however, so you would look at this and say, no, gold isn't going to do what it needs to do to protect me if there is a debt ceiling, argument that brings down the market. But just in general, this is the current gold versus the total stock market index. And actually, gold's been on a run.
Yep.
So just, from the standpoint of momentum, you might make an argument that gold could be a decent investment here, irregardless of how it reacts to the debt ceiling. The question was about the debt ceiling. I personally don't know that I'd run out and buy gold for the debt ceiling. I think that what we're seeing on a pattern looking back throughout the debt ceiling arguments is less and less impact to the stock market and less, response from the gold market for that one specific issue. However, altogether, gold has had a pretty nice run here. It might be something to look at. I'd probably want to really check and see how much it was stretched, maybe come in at some lower points and those types of things. But that's another piece of the story. But anyway, that's what's going on with, buying gold question inside of this thought process of protecting ourselves from the debt ceiling. If you really want to protect yourself from the debt ceiling, you probably move some money out into T-bills or something along those lines to just wait and see what's going to happen. But it's a tough one.
T-bills might be dangerous if the government defaults, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because the threat that happened in 2011 wasn't so much the default on Treasury debt itself, it was actually a default on a payment into Social Security. And so there's a whole host of places where they might not put money if they couldn't before they get to the Treasury market. However, it would be a big deal. It would send a shockwave through the global markets. And of course, my outlook right now is, of course, we on the 19th we hit the debt ceiling. This yesterday,
Yeah.
and so now we're working under extraordinary measures. And so I've seen projections that we can keep going anywhere from June to the end of August. Right? Depends on who you're reading and what they're talking about. And it's a guess anyway, because it depends on how much revenue is coming in, what the actual expenses are, and those types of things. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the argument run out all the way through that time frame. They need 6 Republicans in the House to join all of the Democrats in order to get a bill on the floor to be voted to increase the debt ceiling. I think there's 6 Republicans out there that would stave off a global disaster, but maybe they wait for a while.
Yeah, and the only issue with that discharge petition is it has to languish in committees for 30 days. So there is a timeline that it's not a quick process.
Yeah, we're not solving this debt ceiling issue within 2 months, in my opinion. There's too much political capital to be gained here by pushing. We're trying to, it's a good fundraising opportunity for these emails that are being sent out. There's all kinds of things that happen here. And there's too much repercussion for stepping across the line and joining the Democrats. There are some Republicans that are in blue areas and purple areas that might be more motivated. But in the end, I think there's 6 Republicans will step across the line. I just think it'll take a while before it does happen. So, yeah, it's a good question.